Hey, what's going on everybody? It's your favorite Introvert here, and today we're going to be talking about drone safety checks. It's becoming flying season, and that's right, it's time to check our drones and make sure that they are ready to fly. What we have here is a set of the most common drones you'll find out on the market today, and we will briefly touch over each one of them to make sure we're looking at everything we need to check to ensure safety of flight prior to us going out to the field or flying around in potentially populated areas. So, starting from left going to right, we'll introduce our drones. We have the Parrot Bebop 2 Power Edition. We have the DJI Mavic Air. Up front, we have the DJI Spark. We have the Yuneec Breeze 4K. We have the DJI Mavic Pro Alpine White Edition. And we have the DJI Phantom 4 Pro version 2.0. That is a mouthful.
That's what she said.
Michael. We'll go over each one of these drones and make sure that they are safe for flight. I'm going to make it as quick as possible because honestly there's only a few things that you need to check, which should say that you should be doing this every time you go out to fly. But without any further ado, let's get into it. First up will be the Bebop 2 from Parrot. And essentially, what you'll want to check out is you want to check out your motors and your props. And they have this 3 screw design. You want to make sure that these are tight and it's not free floating and you can't easily twist with your fingers. Now Parrot makes a specific tool to mount and unmount the props. So just ensure that it is not easy to take off. So while you're there, you might as well ensure that the props are still good to go. There's no cracks, tears, or that these props haven't been bent in any way, shape, or form. And you'll notice that by the stress. If you've ever seen plastic bent where there's stress marks on the plastic, then you'll know that you definitely need to swap out the props. So moving on to the arms, you'll want to ensure that your motor cable is free and clear of damage. Make sure nothing is broken, and we'll move on up quickly. We'll want to make sure that the mounts are still good to go. We'll also want to check the sensors and ensure that there's no dirt, debris, or grass, as well as make sure that the camera is clean. When you power on the Bebop 2, you want to ensure that the fan turns and operates as intended. And while you're back here, you want to make sure that the motor wires aren't crimped, creased, or show signs of wear and damage. And you want to do that on all 4 corners and ensure everything is good to go. Also, you want to take off your battery, make sure that nothing is bloated, there's nothing down in the connectors there, and ensure that the battery looks good to go as much as you can tell. And the final thing I usually check is the camera because you are in fact using this. Make sure that it's not broken, cracked, or damaged. This isn't going to affect the way that it flies, but it may save you from going out to the field thinking you're going to get some good footage, and you don't. So that's basically the essentials of what I check with the Bebop 2 powered off. And of course, with any drone, once you power it on, you want to ensure that all your IMU compass calibrations and all the software is up to date and not showing any errors, and you're not getting any motor errors or over temp errors or anything of that nature. That will be basically what I look over on the Bebop 2 for to make sure that everything's good to go and nothing is damaged. Alright, let's move on to the next. Moving on to the DJI products, everything but the Phantom 4. We have the Spark, Mavic Air, and Mavic Pro Alpine White Edition. I'm going to include all of these and go over generally what I look for because it's basically similar except for the folding drones here. So we'll start off with the Spark. Basically the same thing. We'll check and ensure that the props are tightly connected to the motors. There's no slop or any play. We'll also look over the rotor blades and ensure that there is no wear, damage, or any signs that the props have been altered in any way. We'll go over the body and make sure that there's no damage or hanger rash sitting around. We'll make sure that the sensor area is clean and clear, as well as the camera gimbal is tight You can definitely feel that there is still ample amount of cushion in there. We'll also inspect the batteries and making sure that there's no damage, any signs that the battery may be going bloated. Basically, if you're familiar with lipos from RC helicopters or RC airplanes, you know, the more and more they use, the more they get bloated, and sometimes they'll start pressing on the plastic and showing a little bit of ballooning. So this battery looks good to go. Again, we'll inspect the contacts, ensuring that none of them are lost, missing, damaged, or showing signs of corrosion. So we'll put those back in there, and we'll just do a general inspection over all the sensors, contacts, and cameras, making sure everything's clean, clear, and unharmed. Again, we'll check the battery and the buttons, ensuring that there's still a tight clamp and clasp, and that will be for the Spark. And for the Mavic Air, and this will also go for the Mavic Pros and Platinums, any fold drone, you will want to ensure that the arms show no sign of play whatsoever when they're open and in the locked position. I say locked, you definitely, as you can tell, it's spring loaded, so it wants to stay in place. So you definitely check lateral and radial play if it applies to your drone, making sure that none of the arms are loose, as that will cause funky readings in the motor and vibrations. For the Mavic Air's propellers, since these are fixed and not foldable, you definitely want to pay particular attention to these so that they don't show any signs of being folded or creased in any way. You want to make sure that they're tight up in when they're locked in and they're not showing any signs of wear. And if ever you have any doubts of whether or not your props are safely attached, you can go ahead and swap them out. You're not hurting anybody. So for the Mavic Air, going through forward and back sensors as well as downward facing sensors, ensuring that no dirt, debris are clogged up. Your battery, same thing as the Spark. Check the connectors, ensuring that there's no signs of broken tabs or corrosion building and forming on the battery, and check your gimbal so that it's free and clear and able to move around, as well as your antenna, making sure that there's no damage. The good thing about the majority of DJI products, they don't have any exposed wires, except until we get to the Phantom, which we will cover that shortly. Touching real quick over the Mavic Pro, just want to ensure that the camera is free and clear, good to go. It's not binding on anything, as well as the sonic sensors, the sound sensors here, as well as the downward facing cameras, making sure everything is clean, just like the Mavic Air, making sure that there's no play in the foldable arms. And the same with the props, checking them with the motors. Alright, we'll be moving on. Moving on to the Yuneec Breeze, you want to ensure that these ventilation ports are open and clear. Like the majority of all other drones with gimbal, you want to ensure that this is free moving, it isn't binding on anything, the legs are properly functioning and installed. The blades, you want to make sure that they are tight onto the motors, and you want to make sure that there's no motor slop in the arms here, making sure that they're tightly connected and not going anywhere. You want to ensure that this is clean, your battery is still firm and connected, and your bottom cameras and sensors are clean of any fingerprints. Not going to say who. Making sure all fingerprints are wiped off the camera and sensors as well. And you want to make sure any place that there's ventilation, you want to make sure those ports and holes are open. You want to make sure that the battery, that the button still works and it powers on. And again, all of these drones, these are just for the drones that are turned off. You just want to ensure that the software doesn't detect any anomalies with the IMUs or compasses. So with the battery, you want to ensure that it's clean and no tabs are broken. Look down in there, making sure there's no debris, dust, grass, and it all looks good to go down in there. So that's going to wrap it up for the Yuneec Breeze. Let's move on. Alright, and for We'll have to adjust the camera. For the last of the popular consumer drones, we have the Phantom 4. Again, this is the V2. This is with the special props. So with these special props, you definitely want to take great care and not to bend or break them. With the props, like any other drone, you want to ensure that they are solidly mounted on the motor themselves. The motor is firmly planted. The battery is securely fastened. And as I was saying, that DJI is normally good at keeping all the cables and wires tucked away and out of sight. We do have this one camera ribbon cable that connects back in the back. And I saw Ken Herring recommend a great idea is use gaffer's tape to cover up this small portion of ribbon cable right there. So that's a great suggestion from him. And obviously we want to ensure that any ventilation is clean and clear of dirt, grass, and debris, as well as the cameras and the sonic sensors here. Also, we have the ESC ventilation in the arms there that we want to ensure is clean and clear. And all four corners of the collision sensors. You want to make sure that those are not covered up. So that is going to cover all of the most popular consumer drones. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. If you feel like I've missed a drone and that you've wanted to see, let me know. Maybe we can figure something out for the next video. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, smash that like button. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. That's going to wrap it up for this video. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.